I want to thank you for joining me again as we continue on with our series, From Other to One Another, our daily devotional series that accompanying our Sunday morning sermon series. I want to thank you for joining us for that as we explore the richness of our relationships with one another. We will all run into those places where life gets tough and we're feeling down. Those places where we have taken our eyes off Jesus, like Peter as he's walking on the water. He recognizes Jesus. He tells Jesus, "Let me walk on the water." Jesus says, "Come," and he walks on the water, but then he takes his eyes off Jesus, and when he does, he begins to sink. There are those times where we can face difficulty when the winds begin blowing towards us and we begin to see the waves and we take our eyes off Jesus and discouragement begins to set in. It's at those points where when someone comes around us, it can be a tremendous encouragement to us. Recently, many people will know that I've undergone some health issues, and as those began, they began with some dental issues and then developed into back and some abdominal things. But as those things were developing, one of the church members here created a GoFundMe account to help defray the cost of some of my medical bills. And in the midst of some worry about financially, how are we going to make it through, it provided me a time of encouragement. It was a tremendous help. Paul, in teaching the Thessalonians, 2 times tells them to encourage one another. One is when they're worried about what will happen to those who have passed away when Jesus returns. Are they going to be left here? And he tells them, no, they're not going to be left here. They're going to be taken up with us. They're going to be they're actually going to beat you into Christ's presence. And then he later on, dealing with an issue of, well, what about those who are still here? What's going to happen with them? And how do we deal with those things where people are continuing to live? What do we do about that? And Paul says, just continue to live for Jesus. Now encourage one another with these words and build one another up. When encouragement happens, we often think that what encouragement is something that just makes you feel good. Something that gives you a warm tingly. But encouragement isn't always just a feel-good moment. Sometimes encouragement can happen in words that can be painful. Like in Hebrews chapter 10, where Paul tells the Hebrews to spur each other on towards love and good deeds. The idea is to provoke one another. Now, in that provoking, it carries the idea of a horse and spurs. And what's going on with the spurs? Well, that horse is getting in its back and its hind end is getting this pokey, prodding kick in the rear. Sometimes encouragement happens then. Sometimes it happens in the warmth of affirmation. Sometimes it happens in financial giving. But every time that encouragement happens, what it does, what the result of encouragement is, really what encouragement accomplishes, is it helps somebody change their perspective so that they're able to see God's future in the midst of their trouble. They take their eyes off the waves. They no longer see the wind or hear the wind, but they refocus on Jesus. And in so doing, they're able to live again for Him. Encourage one another with those words. Help each other to see the future that God wants to unfold.